Hi, everyone. Welcome back. So glad to have you. You know what? Let me just tell you that it's so much fun in this planning sessions because we're constantly going back and forth about first off player pronunciation because it's just my problem. And then Jason and I just start kicking out ideas like, do we really want to do we really want to cover this guy? No. Well, so we always make some last minute edits. And Jason, so great to be back with you, buddy. How are you doing today?
Good man, good man. I think we're in, like you said, I think we are in week 9,300 and something. No, I'm just kidding. But feels like it at this point. I mean, you're in, and beginning of August here. Got to be about like week 20. I know some people are coming up to their fantasy playoffs here, so hopefully we can get you some winners.
Absolutely. And it's almost like half my leagues, I think, are in the playoffs. Oh, I'm sorry, about to be in the playoffs. Like we're in the final 2 weeks. A lot of my head-to-head leagues are about to go into the playoff mode, and then the other leagues are really kind of just you already know where you have the people that are going for the trophy, and the rest are going for draft pick positions. So definitely want to help some people out. And as always, we're brought to you by Fantasy Six Pack. Come on down and become a subscriber for all the wonderful benefits you can have. First off, let me talk to my fantasy football people out there. Well, fantasy football is starting, and we have some fantastic analysts. It won't be me. I'm terrible at fantasy football, but we have some fantastic analysts that can help you out there as well. And on the baseball side, let us help you win that championship. So, come to our Discord, and subscribers get access to Jason, myself, and all of our analysts. And we can constantly break down kind of those last minute roster choices, and of course, the waiver wire picks as well. And we were ranked at number one most accurate rankers, and that was by Fantasy Pros with our baseball squad. So definitely come on down and become a subscriber as well. So, with that out of the way, and we've paid our bills, let's talk about what I love to talk about. And that's saying, hey, we were right. Let me hit you over the head and tell you about the wonderfulness that you're missing out on. And this week, I am going to try something new. I am going to try to share my screen because I've had some people reach out to me and say, hey, we'd love to see the tweet that you're talking about because video sucks when you try to describe it, Dap. And I go, well, thank you. So this week we're telling you to pick up some Jake Berger. So Jake has been traded from the White Sox to the Marlins. And why is that a good thing? Well, he was pretty much playing every day, but now he's definitely going to be playing every day. And he gets to be, he goes from being, primarily as a third baseman, but let's look at what Fish on First says. He's got a video there, but let's look at Jake Berger, 25 home runs in just 88 games this season. We talked about Jake, feels like 100 weeks ago. And the thing we primarily said is he's going to help your power numbers. If you are in a home run only league, if Jake's available, you need to pick him up because he is going to give power numbers. 25 is just too low. He's going to finish at about probably 35, 40 home runs easy. And just guys, the guy's comfortable and he's just hitting home runs constantly. And we would be remiss if we didn't miss out on my favorite thing about Jake Berger, of course, his last name, but the Marlins really buying into it by saying, welcome, Jake Berger. We have $5 burgers tonight only because they have Jake Berger listed out there. There's some stats there too, and I will definitely put that out there for you. But I just thought that was important. Jason, I'm sorry. After my joking, any other goodness that we should know about Mr. Jake Berger?
I mean, I think you kind of nailed it on the head, right? He's just a home run hitter. His 25 home runs right now, while he doesn't qualify as a third baseman just because of the plate appearances. Who knows what they were doing in Chicago? He was one of their best hitters, and they never put him in the lineup, full time. But his 25 home runs would qualify as the third most among all third basemen right now in only 92 games. That goes to show you the power is for real. He's got an OPS of 888. Sorry, slightly under that. But and then you said the home run only league. But if you think about it, a home run actually,
Yep.
it quantifies for 4 of the 5 hitting categories. You got
Sure.
OBP,
Right.
run,
Yep.
RBI, home run. So even if you're not in a home run only league, a home run will
Yep.
quantify it for 4 of the 5 hitting cats. So I mean, can't go
So
any
what you're
better than
saying
that.
is home runs are helpful?
Yes, extremely.
Obviously, my coffee hasn't kicked in. You're absolutely right. That was not the most elegant way to just say home run only league, and you're right. Total base league. anything like that, he's great. And third base isn't the deepest position.
Right.
So that's the thing. Like, the White Sox, of course, have been awful. They sold this year. Why they were playing around with Burger's playing time, especially considering how cheap he is comparatively, right?
Yeah.
How cheap he is. He should have been playing more often. I just, move him around. There's got to have been position for him. The fact that Tim Anderson, who has hit a grand total of, let me check my notes, 1 home run, continues to play. It just blows my mind. I get it. It's a shortstop, or second base, whatever.
Right.
But God, there had to have been a position for him. I'm not a White Sox fan, but that would frustrate me to see what he's done there. And obviously, the Marlins are definitely what they've done there is just phenomenal, and they constantly keep winning trades. They're going to be a powerhouse here pretty soon. So, all
Yeah,
right,
let's not
and
forget too. Let's not forget too. He was a top 10 overall pick. Couldn't stay
that's right.
healthy. Now
Yep.
he's finally healthy, and they ship him off. That's another tangent. But just to know that he wasn't a top 10 overall pick seems like years ago because he battled 2 torn Achilles
Yep.
tendons. He's finally back healthy now, showing why he was a top 10 pick. So the fact that he's only owned in 20% of the leagues is absurd. That's all I'm
And
gonna.
if you are in a torn Achilles league,
He's leading
you
the
know,
league.
yeah, he's leading the league. I mean, the fact that he's come back, I mean, God forbid he ever hurts himself again. I feel terrible now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just once doing that and coming back and doing what he's doing, and now twice. I mean, he was never a burner to begin with. That's not affecting his power. But wow, I just seeing somebody reach their potential after those kind of devastating injuries is just great to see, and great point to bring up, Jason.
Yep.
All right,
All right.
so let's get into some of our regular fun. And we start with somebody who has burned me on so many fantasy teams. I don't even know where to begin with him. And I think I made a fun of Jack Flaherty previously a few times because, frankly, I have him in too many dynasty leagues, and he either gets hurt or he, like I've mentioned before, he has the spectacular 1 run, 8 strikeout game, and then he has a 7 run, 0 strikeout game, and just Flaherty drives me nuts. But he went to, frankly, one of the best places you could go because of one, it's a pitcher's ballpark. Camden is, when they move the fences back, it's become a much more pitcher friendly place. And of course, with all the youngsters, all the other kind of goodness that's been happening with the Orioles, and kind of in the middle of the pennant race, you couldn't pick a better place for Flaherty to go. And what does he do? Well, let's see what Mike Curlin has to say. In his first start with the Orioles, we almost have a mile plus increase on his fastball velocity. He had a big increase in his cutter usage, which is phenomenal because that's one of his better pitches. It's a 28%. So where he started. Now, the slider usage also was, 25% because he, was ditching the cutter interestingly, initially. And that was, kind of a change, right, of what he's done. He's really kind of changed up that mix. And what we've seen with pitchers that get traded to teams that, well, know what they're doing, they typically say, hey, we want you to ditch this pitch, or we want you to increase this other pitch. And when you see that happen, it really can, hit a pitcher to the next level. And that's what they've really done here. They told Flaherty to kind of change up his pitch mix, and he's listening. Well, at least for one start, he is. So what you have here, without even going into his stats yet, is a team that's going to score a bunch of runs. They're, Orioles are just on fire right now. They just needed a couple more pieces. So if Flaherty does have a mess up, right? If he does only do, gives up 4 runs, 5 runs, he has an offense behind him now that could absolutely save him at any given time. So I am not worried about the Flaherty, blow up games, so to speak. So including this stat here that we've had, right, including this start, we have 21 games started this year, 115 innings pitched. So we have a pretty good understanding of what kind of player we're getting, although we don't know the change at this moment. But, with that 4.28 ERA, what we need to look at is his expected ERA. It's actually higher than that, which is never good. But again, something that we need to take into account is that the defense behind him when he goes to Baltimore is much better than what he had with the Cardinals. I mean, we still had, you still have Arenado, you still have Goldschmidt and all those things, but the defense and the park factor are definitely going to play into it. What I'm going to be interested in is this number here. His K per nine is, down from previous years, except for 2022, which we're just going to ignore 2022. If we look at that, it's yikes, right? 8 Ks per nine and almost 5.5 walks per nine. That's just not going to get it done in the major leagues. But every other year, it's almost been double digits K per nine, and he's been able to keep his walks under 3, which is exactly kind of in line with what we want with Flaherty. If we can start seeing those numbers decrease, right? Really watch those walks. When he starts walking people, well, if anybody starts walking people, then we have problems. But if Flaherty especially, he needs to be able to get those walks under control, especially if he's become a pitcher that can't strike people out as much. But like Curlin said, we're looking at a lot of positive, uh, changes in his pitch mix, in his velocity, and hopefully, those are things that can sustain him. And with the pitcher market just being so shallow right now, anything positive is somebody I'm going to try to add to my team. Jason, I've rambled on too much about my Flaherty love. Go ahead, sir.
It's kind of funny we bring up Flaherty as a waiver wire pickup because I think it was on our On Deck Circle podcast. I kind of gave the Orioles a little bit of grief for trading for Flaherty and not Cease. But the good signs here are usually when pitchers move teams, see them have success when they go to the new team is great because a lot of times, especially with pitching, teams have different philosophies, right? So like Baltimore's pitching philosophy is definitely different than St. Louis's. So
right.
A lot of times they'll get there and be like, hey, stop throwing your fastball more, less, or your cutter more, or something along those lines. And
right.
See the success come in the first start is always great. This could be one of those perfect examples of change of scenery type guy, goes to Baltimore, dominates down the stretch here. The 8 Ks were the highest he's had since May 15th. So clearly, and it wasn't against a South team either, right? Toronto's got some pop in that lineup. I mean, talking about Vlad Jr., all those guys. There's not a rollover team, so it's not like he dominated, the Oakland Athletics or something of their ilk. But yeah, it's always great to see a guy go to a new team, have great instant success, and like you said, a great pitcher's park. Yeah, he should actually be owned, especially you're looking for something down the stretch here for some quality pitching.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I was on that. Was the last On Base Circle podcast. The one you invited me on. Thank you.
Yep.
But yeah, I agreed with you. I mean, look, there's a difference between a waiver wire pickup and a trade, right? If we're talking about the trade, yes, I completely agree. I didn't like the Flaherty trade personally.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, if they're able to somehow capture it, right, like you said, the philosophy change, whatever, then that's why I'm not in a front office, and that's why I'm talking on YouTube with you. Yep. But at the same time, yeah, from that perspective, I agreed with you 100% on that podcast, right? I didn't like the trade. Yeah. And for the reasons I just talked about, right? The blowups and those types of things. But, the Orioles could be onto something. We probably need to see it. But at that time, you want to grab him now versus if after 3 more weeks where he's shown sustained success. So definitely, this is one of those, bet early, bet now, grab them while you can.
He's what Nick Pollock of Pitcherless calls a cherry bomb, right? He sprinkles in these great starts, and then all of a sudden you're just waiting for the explosion start, and that's what's called a cherry bomb. That's Jack Flaherty.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I've had him in my lineup way too many times during the bomb part. Okay, now that's somebody I'm super excited about, 100%, totally in, except for one flaw, but Curtis Mead. So we've talked about him, on various podcasts. He's easily a top 10, top 15 prospect. Finally getting the call for Tampa Bay, and there's a ton of write-ups about him, right, on all these different things. I really like Upper Beck's tweet on it, although it's not the best for YouTube because of the font choice here. Beck, let's work on a different font. But without that, I want to call it some different pieces here, right? So, that he's a patient hitter. He doesn't strike out much. He can play all over the infield dirt. That is key because the one thing I'm worried about with Curtis Mead, right, is how much playing time is he going to get? Tampa Bay has 77 different infielders right now on their team. I know they can only have 25 on their active roster, but somehow they have like 700, infield prospects plus infielders ready to play at any given time. if he plays 4 games a week, I would be ecstatic. I think that, if he plays more than that, great, even better. But give me 4 games a week for Curtis Mead. But because he can play all over the infield, that's really going to help as well. Some other things as well that, is that he's only hit 3 home runs this year, but he was hit on the wrist by a pitch and, it called out here as well. And wondering if that's kind of sapped some of that home run power initially. His underlying stats, again, called out on this tweet, 104.6 miles per hour, which puts him in the 90th percentile of exit velocity. And Curtis Mead hasn't had a problem with home runs before this year. So I think there is an injury piece, but I think it's one of those where he definitely can have playing time. And with somebody who started off pretty hot in the infield, I don't even want to, I can't remember the darn guy's name. The shortstop that for Tampa Bay that, well, anyways, he definitely should replace Brujan. Thank you. Yeah, Brujan should definitely not be playing. I mean, his defense is better probably than a lot of players, but from a fantasy perspective, we've enjoyed the Brujan streak where he was hitting home runs, which he has never done before. And suddenly, he went a little cold. Thank you, Brujan. Gosh, can't believe I completely spaced on that name. So let's look at some of his stats here, right? AAA, like we talked about, only 3 home runs. But look at this walk strikeout rate. It's just insane. 12.8% walks percentage and a 14.7 K percentage. This is a guy with a great eye, somebody who is able to, not only not strike out, but put the bat to the ball. His on-base percentage is ridiculous. And this is in 46 games. This is not, a small sample size, like, 15 games. Almost 380 OBP and a 453 slugging. Yes, he doesn't have the home runs, but 453 is going to definitely get it done with almost 107 WRC plus. And he didn't start yesterday, but he got his hit. And the first pitch he saw, he hit the ball, and he just shows, that he's going to, get up there and get it done. So I'm a believer. Whether or not Tampa Bay believes in him, that's going to be the big one there. I'm just not sure about that part, the playing time. Jason, other than that, you liking some Curtis Mead?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to echo some of the things you said. I mean, this guy's great advance approach to the plate, almost walking as much as he is striking out, which is, not striking out a lot. He's got almost a 1-to-1 walkout strike ratio. Again, playing time is going to be in question. Tampa Bay, for whatever reason, likes to, take their time with these guys, kind of, see what they can do, and don't rush things in with them, especially when they got that kind of depth. But in a league where, if, you're struggling to get some ratios, absolutely take a flyer on this guy, right? If you get sent back down in a couple of days, go on to drop him, get in, watch the video next week. We'll have a new guy for you. But when you get a guy like with this kind of prospect pedigree, you have to pick him up and just hope that somehow something clicks, right? Like, you don't want to be the guy that's like, he's not going to play, so I'll leave him on my waiver wire. No. Grab him, stash him. If you find out in like 3-4 days, if he doesn't play, he goes back AAA, that's fine. You don't want to be the guy that's like, you pick him up, all of a sudden, I don't know, Brandon Lowe goes down with an injury, and now all of a sudden they're starting Curtis Mead every day, and now he's on somebody else's team. So grab him now, even without the playing time. He'll help extremely with your ratios. High OBP, high batting average, high OPS. Yeah, I mean, just grab him, stash him at least.
Yes, grab him, stash him, but don't kidnap him. That would be really awkward. Please, just pick him up off your waiver wires. Okay, so from Curtis Mead to yeah. Okay, so we're doing this. All right, we're gonna do this. All right. So the reason why I'm going blah is because I'm never quite sure about the next two, but we'll do this anyways. I tried to find non-video of this Mike Tauchman catch. First off, what I hate, one of my biggest pet peeves about baseball is when people are like, "Oh, there's a home run saving catch." Yeah, and the guy catches it like 15 feet from the wall, and he like has to do a little hop. This is a legit home run saving catch. I mean, look at this thing from Sarah Sanchez, BCB Sarah on Twitter. That's a ball over the wall, and he legitimately catches it. And that's amazing. That's somebody who's going to play every day because his defense already is showing you what he can get done. But the key here with Tauchman is, I don't know if it's him, but I'm going to think it is. The Cubs have absolutely gone crazy with their offense since the All-Star break. And just something to point out here, which I think is awesome as well, is let's look at somebody who hasn't played as often versus somebody who's playing all the time. Happ has played in roughly twice as many games as Tauchman, but holds a slim lead in RBIs with 49 to 40. I think that's amazing. This is from the Daily Herald. When Tauchman gets in the game, he just gets it done. I mean, that's all there is to it. He needs to be playing more. And when he does play, holy shnikes. I mean, look at these 18 at bats in the last 7 games, just 1 home run, 7 RBIs, 3 strikeouts, just 2 walks, and an insane 476 OBP and 833 slugging. I can't do the math right now, but that's probably over 1,300, OPS. I mean, how is he still available? Is it because he's just not playing every day? You're not sure where to put him? And the reason I was doing the whole thing is because I have Tauchman everywhere. I in daily leagues where I'm able to insert him where I can. I'm killing myself that in the leagues where I have weekly roster, I didn't pick him up, and it was just stupid of me because I was like, oh, he's not playing every day. Those stats for a week league, that'll play. That will play, and I'm mad at myself for not picking him up, and that's my own fault. I'm an idiot. Don't be like me. Don't be like me. Jason, make me feel worse about not picking up Tauchman.
I mean, talk about hot streaks of hot streaks. The Cubs are just insane right now. I can't even explain it. They've got 100 since the All-Star break. They scored 150 runs, which averages out to about a little over 7 runs a game. They're averaging right now. With an 888 OPS as a team. I think the league averages at like 725 or something like that for the team OPS. So way over that. And a lot of that's thanks to somehow Mike Tauchman on his 5th team in the last 4 years, finding a place to play somehow. And actually, they're kind of moving him around. They're getting his bat in there because it's so hot. He's actually been leading off a couple of times for the Cubs, which is kind of shocking. But I mean, thanks in part to that 476 OBP, it's definitely something you want at the top of your lineup. But yeah, just to go further into that hot streak, not just within the last, I think you pulled up the last like 7 days. Since the All-Star break, 19 RBIs from Mike Tauchman, only striking out 13% of the time. Slash line of 367, 426, slugging 650 since the All-Star break, a WRC plus of 187. Now, is this sustainable? Obviously not. But while the Cubs remain hot, and so does Mike Tauchman, add him, get him in those lineups.
Rub it in, man. I should have picked him up. All right. Now, I go from somebody who I'm going for because I don't have him on my team to somebody I'm going for because I don't agree with him being on the waiver wire. I'm sorry. And we always talk about this because I don't want it to just be everybody agrees with everybody. I'm not a big believer in this guy for 2 reasons. One, he's a Yankee. Sorry. I'm totally, that's a bad joke. I'm sorry, Yankees fans. But Harrison Bader is just not somebody I trust. I don't trust a lot of the Yankees this year, and the reason I don't have a tweet up is because Yankees Twitter is impossible. I'm sorry, and I'm going to just range on here for 1 second. You type in Harrison Bader, and literally it's one tweet like put him in every week, put him in every day. The next one is he's the worst player of all times. I cannot believe he's in this lineup. You need to send him home. You need to be teaching kindergarten kids or something. It's literally every other tweet is something different. I couldn't find anything consistent, so I was like, forget it. So in the last 7 games, and I already talked to Jason about this. I'm going to try my best here for about a half second, and he's going to take over. But in the last 7 games, 22 at bats, 1 RBI, 4 strikeouts, and 2 walks for a 280 OBP, 318 slugging. Jason, I can't. Tell me why we're picking Harrison Bader here because yeah,
it's kind of hard to go from Tauchman to Bader, but this is obviously more of like a deep league play. I feel like we've seen him have success both with the Yankees and going back to the days with the Cardinals. 4 or 5 outfielder play. He's only owned in 19% of the league, which actually is kind of funny now that I say that out loud. wasn't Jake Berger only owned in like 20% of leagues or something? The fact that
Somehow our fantasy community thinks, you know what? Yankee should be owned because he's a Yankee versus Berger, who literally has not gotten respect all season. It's ridiculous. He didn't get respect on his own team. He was like, ah.
yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of something. He's already got 11 stolen bases. It's on pace for double-digit stolen bases and home runs. So, deep league play, there's nothing wrong with this guy. I mean, other than the Yankees like to kind of manipulate, let's be honest. I'm not going to beat on the bush. Boone, I'm not sure he knows what's going on in his life right now or his clubhouse. So, I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff going around with him, but it's been kind of a carnival over there in New York. But that's beside the point. Harrison Bader, deep leagues, add him for a little bit of stolen base, a little bit of pop. Absolutely 5 outfielder leagues. At least stash them. The Yankees, Judge is back healthy again. Let's hope that maybe some run production will go up as well.
Yikes. All right. So going from a Yankee. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not even going to try to continue with that one. So somebody I absolutely agree with. Let's get this done. Let's get some Randal Grichuk in your life because first off, I tried to pronounce that name right. I knew I was going to mess that up. But let's look at what this home run he hit the other day because the important thing is he just got traded to the Angels. Now, you're thinking to yourself, Randall just went from the Rockies to the Angels. Why would we highlight him for, going from the Rockies? It wasn't like he was a slouch with the Rockies. I'll show you here in a second. He was still hitting the ball quite a bit, but now he's going to be playing more because I still don't understand why the Angels did this, why they didn't trade Ohtani, and not because of the fact that, I want every team to win, great, but the package they could have gotten in the offseason would have been huge. The package they probably would have gotten, now would have been great, but now they're going for it. I don't understand it, but whatever. So let's look at this. Randal Grichuk, let's look at Anaheim Sports. He homered in his debut with the Angels. Fly ball to center field from a 94-mile-an-hour fastball from Charlie Morton. And that ball went 374 feet at 100.5 miles per hour off of his bat. And that's great, especially when you look at what Taylor Blake Ward calls out. It was his first professional home run on 8/4/2009 when playing for the Angels. So this is not even low A ball. This is before low A, right? This is like rookie ball for the Angels. Remember, the Angels drafted Grichuk and then he got traded. So 3 days short of his 14-year anniversary of that home run, he hit his first home run with the Angels in his Halos debut. So he's hit Taylor calls out, right? He's hit a few home runs in between then and there, but that's pretty amazing to me that the team that drafted him, he got traded a whole bunch, played with a whole bunch of different teams, and now he's back almost 14 years later, and he hits his home run in his Angels debut, and that's pretty awesome. And in fact, there's a great interview. You can find it pretty much anywhere online where they talk to Grichuk. Trout and Grichuk were actually roommates in rookie ball, so that's pretty cool little a story there as well. So let's look at what he's been doing this year because he's only played 20 plate appearances for the Angels so far. So in Colorado, and of course you could take some of these stats because it is Colorado. He had 28 extra base hits, and he was doing quite a bit there, right? 308, 365, and almost 496 slugging. So again, take that with a grain of salt. It is Colorado, but it's not like everybody hits in Colorado, as we've seen as well. Because now that he's with the Angels, and we said he's had 5 games with them with 19 plate appearances, he's not doing that bad so far. I mean, we're doing 421, 721. So we're talking about OBP and slugging with a 300. I mean, that's not. I'm sorry, that's 721 OPS. Sorry about that. 300 on base percentage, 421 slugging. That'll get it done for considering how shallow outfield is. I still think he's got a lot more pop in that bat. I still think that we're looking at a lot of different things, and we can tell if it's park factor related by looking at some of his underlying things. Now, remember, when we look at Baseball Savant, we're looking for the red. The red's good. So the barrel percentage is 34th percentile. That's not going to get it done. His whiffing, it's not going to get it done. But some of these other things are definitely things that will trend anywhere, right? His max exit velocity, 71 percentile. His hard hit rate is 62 percentile. An extra base. So this is going to be his extra base average, and that's 75th percentile as well. If you look at his rolling, OBA or OBA, as Jason likes to say. I'll never say OBA because it sounds weird, but you'll see it's all trending kind of in the right direction. Again, this is a guy who hits the ball everywhere. His spray chart's fantastic. It's somebody who has great underlying stats. He's kind of been re-energized by going to the Angels, and he's got a team around him that's excited to kind of have him and let him play. I think this is a great opportunity for him to kind of ball out. And I'm all about going for him right now. I think he's going to get his playing time, and he's going to have a whole bunch of big hitters hitting behind him. He looks energized. I think there's a lot of things that the stats aren't showing you that you're going to see here coming up. What do you think, Jason? Is this Mike Trout Jr.?
Not quite, but definitely someone that's worth adding. I mean, this is a guy that's been a big time power bat his whole career. He's had double digits home runs every year, a couple 20 plus home run seasons, even a 30-run home run season. So again, like I said, the playing time is going to be there. Both Mike Trout and Taylor Ward are both out right now, so he's going to be filling in that outfield. And then another thing that's kind of shocking too is, I know it's a small sample, but it's not overly small. 283 plate appearances, but he's batting over 300 right now, which has been his calling card for his career. He's usually been like a 250 hitter that hits 25 home runs, but yeah, hitting 305 on base at 360. So this is, I mean, we know what we're getting here, right? We're getting power. So, right. And again, Ohtani, please, someone needs to help Ohtani. He's doing it all himself. I don't know if you saw the tweets or the what happened the other night, but I feel bad for that man. He literally put that team on his back the other night against Seattle and came crumbling down in the ninth. So, but yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Trout's going to be back here. He's, I think he just started taking dry swings, and I think he just started hitting off the tee, maybe.
Yeah, he'll be back I think middle to end of August, so maybe in a week or two.
Right. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, Ohtani can only do so much. I mean, literally playing on both sides of the ball. I mean, we're like, well, he can't help his. No, he's literally helping on your pitching. And how do they think he's going to stay longer because they showed that they didn't sell him? I'm so confused by that approach. I still don't understand that at all.
Yeah, I don't want to go off on that tangent anymore, but it's weird what they're doing there in LA. If you thought he was going to stay and then he pulls off that performance the other night, he's gone. He's not coming back, LA. I'm sorry, but that's a different topic. But Grichuk, he should absolutely be owned. He's going to get, even with Trout coming back, Taylor Ward, who I think was manning left field at the time, for now, he just got hit in the face with a ball like a week or two ago. So he's out for a pretty long time here. So Grichuk will get the playing time, add him for the power. And I guess now for the batting average as well. So the ratios.
Real quick, before we sign off, what do you think is going to be Ohtani's contract?
It's so weird because it's a unicorn, right? He's going to get at least $500 million from somebody.
That's too low. That's too low.
Listening to some podcast, you think about it, right? A top of the market starting pitcher, $25 million.
Right.
Top of the market DH, $25 million. So he's going to get minimum. He's both of those. So he's going to get a minimum $50 million a year.
Right.
I could see like a 12 year, $650 million, something along those lines.
I'm going to go out on a limb.
Okay.
I'm going to say $750 million over 10 years. So $75 million a year. That's insane. Think about it, right? People have to he brings in the viewers.
Yep.
He's because he's such a once in a lifetime, player.
Yep.
He brings in the viewers. Like you said, he can pitch, he can hit. I just don't see how he, stands for anything less than that. And he's going to go to a contender, right? So it's going to be the Dodgers, the Yankees, something of that nature. And they're going to not let the other guy get him. He's going to break every previous, average, everything like that. I still think he's 700, 750. It sounds insane considering when A-Rod signed for $100 million, we're like, what are the Lakers doing? And then we're talking about almost, over $500 million easily. Just in my mind, somehow I'm saying 700, 750. And that way we can have this, in perpetuity, when it does happen, I can show, hey, look what Jason and we called it out, back on August 5th, 2023.
Yep. Mark that date. JP called it.
All right, man. Well, hey, it's always a pleasure. If you have any questions at all, reach out to us on Twitter. Come on down to Fantasy Six Pack. Join our league the subscribers there as well. And, reach out to us on Discord. We'd love to talk baseball with you. As always, thanks for watching.